It's 1812 and the White House is on fire. Wait, why is the White House on fire? And why are the British and Americans fighting again? Didn't this all happen in 1776? Okay, we're going to take a step back and look at what's going on in 1812. The War of 1812, a note-taking video for kids. So our story starts in 1803. There was a war going on in Europe, and Britain declared war on Napoleon, the Emperor of France. So Britain thought it'd be a really good idea to capture American sailors who were just doing their thing and force them to work in the British Army. As you can imagine, Thomas Jefferson was super annoyed about this, so he decided to do something called an embargo, where he stopped trade with Britain and France to try and solve the problem. Well, it didn't work. After this, a new president was elected who had to deal with this problem, and his name was President James Madison, or JMads for short. Now, at the same time, there was a chief named Tecumseh, who had united Native Americans against the United States. And Britain was right there beside them, allied with the Native Americans. In 1811, there was a famous battle called the Battle of Tippecanoe, where Tecumseh's brother, Tenskwatawa, told his natives that the Americans' bullets wouldn't hurt them because of a dream that he'd had. He was known as the Prophet, and as you can imagine, the battle did not go well for the natives. In 1812, the United States was ready to go to war. So James Madison declared war in 1812. They were frustrated with the British for allying with the Native Americans and for capturing their soldiers at sea. Now, when America invaded Canada, they thought it was going to be easy. They started off by invading a place called Sandwich. Can you imagine living in a place called Sandwich? But their attack failed and they had to hand over the American city of Detroit to the British. Oops. The British also captured a fort way up in Michigan called Fort Mackinac because no one had told the Americans up there that there was a war on. After this, Fort Dearborn in Chicago was captured by the Potawatomi, a native group in that region. On the ocean, American ships did surprisingly well. The USS Constitution bounced British cannonballs off its sides, earning it the nickname Old Ironsides, which sounds kind of like a robot pirate. American troops tried to cross into Canada again, this time near Niagara Falls, but the invasion failed and everyone sighed loudly. About the same time, the British began a blockade on the American coast. American troops captured York, modern Toronto, and burned important buildings. Britain watched this happen and added it to their mental revenge list. Now, both sides realized that during this war, controlling the Great Lakes meant controlling supplies and soldiers. It became a giant water-based tug-of-war. In fact, the US Navy won a major battle. It's famously said, "We have met the enemy and they are ours," which was history talk for, "We crushed it." Whoa, wait a minute, why does it look like there's ships on top of ships? So here are the lakes from left to right. We've got Superior, Michigan, Huron, Erie, the dark blue one, and then Ontario. In 1813, Tecumseh died in battle, and without him, the Native American alliance fell apart. This was a turning point that changed the future of Native American resistance in the region. Britain finished fighting Napoleon in Europe and sent trained troops to America. Britain basically said, "Okay, now we're serious." British troops defeated American forces and marched into the capital almost unchallenged. They burned the White House and the Capitol building, and President Madison had to leave town very quickly. Not a great day for American pride. After Washington, the British tried to take Baltimore, expecting an easy win. But at Fort McHenry, Americans held their ground, firing cannons all night. When morning came, the flag was still flying high, almost as if it were saying, "Not today, British!" Francis Scott Key saw it and wrote a poem that later became the Star-Spangled Banner. You know, like, "Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early Meanwhile, on Lake Champlain near Plattsburgh, the US Navy pulled off a clever surprise victory. The British Army, seeing their ships defeated, decided to turn around and go home. Winning on the water basically saved New York from being invaded. On December 24, 1814, the American and British leaders signed the Treaty of Ghent, officially ending the war and returning lands to pre-war borders. But the news traveled kinda slowly. No phones, no internet, not even a Pony Express. Soldiers and towns didn't know it yet, so fighting continued in some places, like they were in a game of delayed mail tag. Okay, why do old historical pictures kinda look like they could be AI? Even though the treaty was signed, American troops led by Andrew Jackson fought and won a huge battle against a much bigger British army. Nobody had heard the news yet, so everybody celebrated anyway. Jackson became a hero, and the Americans proved that timing isn't everything. Sometimes it's all about showing up ready to fight. After the Treaty of Ghent was signed in December, the US Senate officially approved it in February. This meant the war was really, truly over at last. No more fighting, no more surprises, and everyone could finally start rebuilding. And that's the story of the War of 1812. If you'd like to play something that's different from a worksheet or an activity, check out my War of 1812 game. It's an activity that's available on teacherspayteachers.com, and the store is History Buffer.